Tobler, Saturday mornings
on FM News Talk 97.1.
Listening to The Marc Cox Show. Follow the show on Facebook. Facebook.com/The Marc Cox Show.
After this man was arrested on numerous occasions for violent crimes, he went on to kill 5 completely innocent men. Not only has ICE failed us, but our borders have failed us. They are obviously wide open, as the man was able to enter not once, but twice without being detected.
That was the voice of Julie Nordman, who lives out near Wentzville, and she told lawmakers this week some of the horrifying details of that attack as she hid in her husband in the attic, and her husband, Randy Nordman, was murdered by this illegal alien who probably shouldn't have been out running around to begin with. We reached out to Julie, and she's referred us to Jill Harper, who is her attorney with Harper, Evans, Wade, and Nedemeyer down in Columbia. Jill, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, no problem.
I watched the hearing, at least clips of it. Julie's point here is to make sure that this doesn't happen to somebody else. Can you talk to us about that?
Absolutely. So I don't know if you heard all the hearing or if you have all the facts of the case, but about a year before this man killed these 5 people, he had been in custody in Kansas at least twice in the year before he committed these murders. And he had already been deported once in 2004, so of course he wasn't supposed to be in the country anyway. But so he gets arrested. One time they just don't fingerprint him, they did an immigration query when he was in custody, and immigration has 4 hours to respond to that query to say if they're going to issue a detainer or not. The first time he was arrested, immigration failed to respond to the query, so the sheriff had to let him go. About a month later, he's in custody again on other charges. The municipal court fingerprints him, submits the fingerprints, and there was a hit from ICE, and so ICE issued the detainer as they should have, but they sent it to the wrong location. They didn't send it back to the municipal court, so the proper authorities didn't get it, and he was released from custody again. So had ICE not failed those 2 prior times, he would have been deported, and this should have never happened. All 5 people would still be alive today.
Was Julie Nordman summoned to testify, or did she request this?
No, we did not request this. My office was contacted several weeks ago by the Homeland Security Committee, which Senator Ron Johnson is the chair for that, and then Claire McCaskill is the minority leader. And I guess they were looking for examples in the United States so that they could highlight the effects of lax immigration enforcement and border insecurity. And so I don't know if they had just Googled or what, but they found Julie's story and thought she would make a very compelling witness. So they contacted our office to see if she would be willing to testify, and said she would, because these failures by ICE are so egregious. I mean, hopefully the lawmakers can get this figured out so this doesn't happen again.
Well, we hear this story. Obviously, during the campaign, you heard the Kate Steinle story.
Right.
It seemed like it's happened entirely too much. I guess when I listened to Claire McCaskill's soundbite on this the other day, and she was demanding answers from the folks at ICE. And I don't know if you want to make a political statement here, but I will. It strikes me that the problem goes back to the previous administration, where there seemed to almost be an attitude where ICE was encouraged not to carry out some of these arrests and not to be more proactive. Does that play a role here?
Well, I think so. I don't know exactly what their policies were back then, but, we're trying to figure it out. Following the incident and the killing of Randy Nordman, ICE issued a statement to the media, and they said, and I quote, ICE would remain focused on smart, effective immigration enforcement that prioritizes threats to national security, public safety, and border security. And so if you read between the lines there, they're kind of saying, well, we can't do everything, but we prioritize things as we think to be fit. But this guy had been convicted of numerous violent crimes. The reason he was deported back in 2004 is because he let's see, I don't want to misspeak. He pulled a gun, pointed a rifle at the mother of his 3 children and threatened her life. He went to prison on those charges and then was deported. So how they could think this guy was safe to be in the United States, I don't know.
Yeah, that's a fair question. What's the end game here for Julie Nordman? Now, obviously, she's got your firm working with her. I mean, is there a wrongful death lawsuit? Is there anything that she can do to get?
Well, this isn't really a state claim. So normally, if someone died in a car accident in the state of Missouri, we could file a wrongful death case.
Right.
In the state of Missouri. Here, that's not really an option for us. What we have to do, and we've collaborated with some of the other people who were killed with their attorneys, and we're all kind of going at this the same way. We have filed what's called a claim under the Federal Tort Claims Act, basically saying we are making a claim against the federal government for damages. When you make that claim, the federal government has 6 months to file a response, to either kind of accept liability and say, yes, we'll work something out with you, or deny the claim. All of the other 4 people who were killed, their attorneys have informed me that they have already received their denial letters, that the federal government has denied liability for this. Julie's case, now, albeit we did file her claim a little bit later than theirs, but not a lot. I think we filed December 8th. They have not responded to our claim yet. We haven't been denied yet, but we also haven't had any correspondence with them yet. So I don't know if Julie testifying at the Senate or with Senator McCaskill and Johnson getting involved, if that'll change the end game for Julie or not, but we certainly hope so. It's doubtful, but we hope so.
Yeah, I don't know. It's an election year. I don't know if Claire McCaskill, she promised she would get involved in this?
She did. She personally promised to Julie that they would get the answers on how this happened. So if the federal government denies Julie's claim, which I assume they will because they've denied the other 4 claimants, then likely what we'll do is file just like Kate Steinley's family did, they filed a petition, a lawsuit against the federal government. So once we filed the petition, the government's attorneys would obviously file motions to dismiss, motions for summary judgment, things like that. And if we could beat those, beat the immunities, then we would have a trial, but to do that would be a very uphill battle.
Well, it just drives home the point for all these people who act like the immigration debate is some trivial issue. Poor Julie and what she's had to go through losing her husband like this drives home that point.
Right.
Yeah. Jill Harper.
Claire made. Yeah. Sorry,
go ahead. Go ahead, please.
Well, Claire made the distinction at the hearing is that the dispute on immigration. She said maybe these people, children who are brought over when they're babies through no fault of their own, what do we do with them? That's the hard question. These people who haven't committed crimes, they didn't sneak over, their parents snuck them over. She said that's the hard question, but Claire did say these people who have committed crimes, they have a record, they're violent, these are a priority and they need to go.
Well, Jill Harper, thank you so much for your time. Jill is with the Harper, Evans, Wade, and Nettemeyer down in Columbia representing Julie Nordman. Thank you, and have a great weekend.
Yeah, thank you, too. Bye.
Yep, take care. Great job, by the way, Jill. Thank you for that. Yeah, I'd be interested in talking to Senator McCaskill about this because someone told me that she was in support of this idea of sanctuary cities. I'm not quite sure how you could be in support of the idea of a sanctuary city on one hand, where they're protecting illegals, and on the other hand claim that you want to help somebody like Julie Nordman because this should never have happened. This guy should have been under lock and key, but I don't think there was a desire to do that under the previous administration. Hasha McQueen is on the phone right now. Hasha, sorry I had to keep you on hold for so long.
Oh, that's all right. I've just been doing some work.
What's on your mind?
Well, okay, so I just wanted to comment a little bit on the Pacheco case. Victor Arana is actually the attorney on that case, and he's a friend of mine. I went to school with him.
So this is the guy over in Central Illinois.